Remember how the Trump administration has been trying to shut down the U.S. Department of Education? Well, we've got a surprising update to that story. NPR has learned the department is now trying to hire hundreds of new workers. NPR education correspondent Corey Turner joins us now. Hey.
Hey, Juana.
So, Corey, exactly how many new staff are we talking about here, and what are they being hired to do?
We're talking 380 new people, roughly. For comparison, that's just over a quarter of the staff the department cut last year in its massive March layoffs. We also know this hiring is concentrated in the Office of Federal Student Aid, better known as FSA. That is the central nervous system of the nation's $1.7 trillion student loan portfolio, which means they manage everything from communications with borrowers to the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And we know that they're hiring, Juana, because NPR obtained internal documents that were prepared for an FSA all-staff meeting last month, where leadership announced that they had already hired more than 50 new people and that they are hoping to hire another 330 or so.
Interesting. I wonder, how do you square this, given the fact that there was so much talk from the Trump administration about dismantling the education department?
I think the short answer is it is hard to dismantle something that does a lot of important stuff. So in those layoffs I mentioned last year, FSA was essentially cut in half. And according to lots of people I've been talking to, both inside and outside of FSA, it's been really hard for the office to do all of the work it is legally required to do. For example, I did a story a couple months ago, Juana, about how FSA quietly stopped double-checking loan servicers' records for accuracy. And then you got to add to that. Also, Republicans' One Big Beautiful Bill is heaping a whole bunch of new stuff, new responsibilities onto FSA, like rolling out 2 new repayment plans from scratch. When I asked the department to explain this hiring boom, or as you say, how do you square it with the dismantling, they said, quote, breaking up the federal education bureaucracy does not mean that critical programs won't continue.
Now, Corey, you've also reported that the department was working with other federal agencies to offload some of its work, including moving some of FSA's student loan work to the Treasury Department. Is that still happening?
It is. It's just complicated. I mean, after all, if FSA is offloading some of its work, why is it hiring? In recent testimony, Education Secretary Linda McMahon was asked about another of these agreements. In this case, it's meant to shift work over to the Labor Department. So here she is explaining how it works to Senator Tammy Baldwin, a Wisconsin Democrat.
Because it is not going to various and sundry different agencies. It's dealing with the same people that you've known at the Department of Education that are located somewhere else.
So
and
you
as the
are
Department of Education is a pass-through for funding, which you will continue to appropriate, then that will be absolutely...
I'm going to cut you off there. You are sending Department of Education employees to work at other agencies to administer the same programs from different buildings.
So this dismantling of the education department, at least in some cases it sounds like, is really just shuffling its people to different addresses?
Yeah, in some cases that's exactly right. And I think this hiring spree at the student loan office is more evidence of that. You know, the education department has a lot of student loan work. It knows it has to get done. So after cutting the office in half last year, it's now trying to find almost 400 new people.
NPR education correspondent Corey Turner, thanks.
You're welcome.
The first thing we're going to do to, I think, stop racism is stop focusing on racism.
Stop focusing on racism.
It's been a yearly mandate since 1966. Companies with 100 or more workers must send the federal government information about the race, ethnicity, and sex of their employees. The government uses that data to root out discrimination on the job. Now, the Trump administration is moving to get rid of the requirement. NPR's Andrea Hsu has more.
To understand how this data is used, consider the lawsuit against Bass Pro Shops, which began in 2011. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission alleged the company discriminated against Black and Hispanic job applicants by not hiring them, not just at one store, but across the country, even in counties with sizable Black and Hispanic populations. David Lopez is a law professor at Arizona State. Back then, he was the EEOC's general counsel.
Store by store by store, sort of the same idea. You had areas that had a significant number of Blacks and Latinos, and either zero or very few at the stores.
And his agency knew that because it had Bass Pro's demographic data on file. It's called EEO1 data. Now, the data by itself was not enough to bring a case, but Lopez says it was a green light to agency investigators to dig in and see what was going on.
Because they had a reason to investigate, they were able to discover managerial comments that were reflective of discriminatory animus, that they were looking for a certain type of person.
Someone who was white, according to the government's complaint. In court filings, Bass Pro called the allegations threadbare. The case dragged on for years. Eventually, the company settled for $10.5 million. Bass Pro did not admit to any wrongdoing, but did agree to appoint a diversity director and to make good faith efforts to recruit and hire non-white candidates. Lopez considered that a big win, one of many built on data.
You could have a hunch, but there's nothing like the cold hard numbers.
But now the EEOC has informed the White House of its proposal to stop collecting the data. The agency didn't respond to NPR's questions about the move, but earlier this spring, Chair Andrea Lucas told NPR one problem she has with the data is that it's shared too widely. She firmly believes that knowledge of workforce demographics should be confined to HR so that hiring managers don't end up swayed by a candidate's sex or race. Instead, she says, as some companies rush to diversify their ranks,
they were gathering that data and then they were publicizing it for the world.
She says it was a foreseeable risk
that data was going to start turning into race-motivated decision-making.
Now, she didn't name names, but the EEOC is investigating the hiring practices at Nike and the New York Times, two companies that did publish their demographic data. David Cohen of DCI Consulting advises companies on civil rights matters. He thinks the EEOC would want that data
to see if certain industries potentially have issues as it relates to whites and men.
Under Lucas, investigating discrimination against white men is now an agency priority. For now, Cohen is telling his clients that keeping track of their employee demographics is a smart business move, whether the government requires it or not. Without it, he says, a company has no way of knowing if there might be a problem, like they're not recruiting in the right places, or there's a bad manager, or qualified candidates are getting screened out for no good reason.
It's like you're driving a car without a dashboard. You have no idea what's going on. Am I speeding? Am I not speeding? Is my check engine light on? You have nothing.
David Lopez, the former general counsel, says absent the data, a case like Bass Pro would be hard to put together.
The bottom line point is that hiring discrimination is really hard to detect.
Ending the data collection, he fears, will make it even harder. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
Billie Holiday, I sing your blues. Bet your life against me and I swear to God you'll lose it. Motherfuck the cops, we still singing for St. Louis. Motherfuck the cops, we still singing for St. Louis. Motherfuck the cops, we still singing for St. Louis.
Missouri voters will decide later this year whether to eliminate the state's income tax. This comes in the second year Republican lawmakers tried to swap it out for increased sales taxes. As KBIA's Bella Zielinski reports, Missouri's small business owners and lower-income residents would feel the effects most acutely if the measure were to pass.
On a side street in downtown Columbia, bakery owner Anna Meyer serves cookies, cakes, pies, and breads that are free from many of the top 9 most common allergens. Meyer, herself bound by major food allergies, knows the challenge of buying affordable treats safe for her to eat.
Our foods that we have to buy, we don't have any choice about it, are already 4 to 8 times more expensive.
With the proposed elimination of the income tax in Missouri, Meyer would have to raise her prices even more. Republican lawmakers insist increasing the state's sales tax would make up the billions of dollars in taxes the state currently collects and distributes to local governments. Meyer already pays nearly an 8.5% sales tax rate for being in Columbia's downtown business district. If the income tax is repealed, an analysis from the left-leaning think tank Missouri Budget Project says state and local sales tax rates would need to double to plug the resulting funding hole.
If you're talking about a $2.50 cookie go from 8% to 16%, my customers will notice that, and that will then make them buy less cookies.
And Meyer isn't the only small business owner worried about these effects. Daniel Moline is the owner of a CPA firm in Blue Springs, just east of Kansas City. Service businesses like his could also be newly taxed. For many service-based businesses, this would be the first time they would have to collect and file sales taxes. And Moline says those new to the process may suffer consequences.
People that have been in business a long time and they've never had to collect sales tax, they may just go on as they always have, and now they're in violation of the law. And if they were to get audited, they could owe a lot of back taxes.
If business owners have to pay someone to keep track of new taxes owed, that's another added drain on their revenues. Moline also pushes back on the idea that businesses would move to Missouri because of the lack of income tax.
If anyone sees that there's no income tax, they could do 5 minutes of research and see the reason for that is because the sales taxes were greatly expanded.
And there's direct evidence for how this may play out. In 2012, then Kansas Governor Sam Brownback signed into law a bill cutting his state's income tax rates. What became known as the Kansas experiment did not result in the expected traffic increase to the state.
During the Brownback years, Kansas actually had lower net migration than every other state in the region, including Missouri.
That's Michael Smith, author of a book on the Brownback years in Kansas. He says the situation proves that cutting income taxes already in the single digits won't spur economic growth anyway.
Jobs are going to go to where the employer thinks they can find the workers that they want to hire. They're not going to be based on marginal changes in state tax rates.
Back at Anna Meyer's Bakery, a financial supporter of KBIA, she sees the legislature's proposal in terms of her own bottom line.
The thing that brings my most revenue, which are decorated cakes, I just don't want to do that anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. They'll look at my finances and tell me no. So why then does an entity that is in charge of our finances get to behave so poorly in a way that no other businesses are allowed to behave?
Governor Mike Kehoe must decide before the end of this week if voters will see the proposal on their ballots in August or November. I'm Bella Zielinski, KBIA News.
A workplace safety board in California will vote Thursday on whether the state should ban a popular material for kitchen and bathroom countertops. It's a manufactured material made of quartz. So-called quartz countertops have been cut and polished by hundreds of workers in California who have developed serious lung disease. Here's the thing, though. Workshops all around the country do this same kind of work. NPR's Nell Greenfield-Boyce wondered how countertop makers were faring in other states.
Wade Haneker lives near Tampa in Florida. He started making countertops about 15 years ago. He used saws and other power tools to cut big, heavy slabs of raw stone so that they'd fit perfectly into customers' kitchens and bathrooms. The cutting produced dust, so he'd wear face masks like an N95.
We were more worried about getting crushed by slabs or getting cut, with blades and stuff like that, not getting a lung disease.
He cut some granite countertops. Mostly, though, he cut quartz. It's a composite made in factories where tiny bits of natural quartz are mixed with pigments and binders. Compared to granite, quartz contains way more of the mineral silica, and silica dust can be dangerous if you breathe it in. About 5 years ago, Haneker developed a knot of pain under his shoulder. When the pain started creeping around his chest, his wife said, "You're going to the ER." She was scared it was his heart.
We didn't think anything that it could be work-related from the dust, whatever.
At first, doctors said it was pneumonia, but months later, he and his wife learned it was silicosis, permanent, progressive lung damage from silica dust.
We broke down and kind of cried together. Once we started realizing, hey, this is life-changing. There is no cure for this.
He's only 39 years old. Doctors have told him he'll eventually need a lung transplant. He also has an autoimmune disease that's linked to silica. He has chronic pain, shortness of breath, and he's got little kids who want to run around and play.
The two biggest things that hurt me is how it affects my marriage and not being able to be a father the way I want to with my kids.
He's sued makers and distributors of quartz slabs. As far as he knows, he's the first one in Florida to do so. He told me he didn't know of any other Florida countertop workers who are sick. That's really different from the experience in California. In the last few years, California has tracked about 550 sickened workers, almost all Hispanic men. Over 30 have died, nearly 60 have had lung transplants, and the numbers keep rising. This week, a state safety board will vote on whether or not to ban quartz. Manufacturers oppose a ban. They say the problem is that some countertop shops buy their slabs and then cut them without taking sufficient precautions to control dust. Attorney Khaled Taqi-Adin represents Cambria, a major quartz manufacturer.
If you don't have good workplace safety practices, whether it's a quote-unquote natural stone or whether it's a quartz stone, you're going to end up having people continuously getting sick.
They advocate licensing of shops. Cambria recently joined other companies to ask Congress to ban lawsuits against them. Here's what Cambria lawyer Rebecca Schultz said at a hearing earlier this year.
Please keep in mind, there is only a handful of silicosis cases in the other 49 states.
But some doctors say the reason California is seeing a lot of cases is because it's the only state that's actively looking.
I believe California is actually leading the country correctly in how to address this problem.
Kurt Hegman is head of the Rocky Mountain Center for Occupational and Environmental Health in Utah.
This is the worst situation I've seen affecting a workforce in my 35 years.
He says there's no systemic tracking in Utah, but workers have started to appear in clinics.
We know that in the case of one of the fabricators that 38% of the workforce is affected.
Right next door to Utah is Colorado, where Cecile Rose is an occupational lung specialist with the University of Colorado and National Jewish Health. She says she and her colleagues are aware of about 20 sick workers in their state. She recently helped create a registry where doctors can voluntarily report what they've seen.
We have cases from Illinois, from Missouri, Montana, New Mexico, South Carolina, Wyoming.
In December, Massachusetts announced its first case. Since then, state officials have found 2 more. New York's Department of Health has seen 4, but all of this is scattershot, which doesn't surprise Ken Rosenman. He's an epidemiologist with Michigan State University. He says while the federal government does a good job of detecting workplace deaths, that's not the case for non-fatal injuries or diseases.
We're missing at least half of the work-related amputations in the country that occur. We're probably missing 95% of the cases of silicosis that occur in the country. So we have a lousy system that is dependent on employer reporting.
He says to really find out how widespread lung disease is among countertop workers,
we need somebody to go out and do a survey of fabricators in multiple states, a sample, and see how many people actually have the disease that we're not aware of.
That's what Australia did. After workers in that country started getting sick, they were offered free screenings. David Michaels is a workplace safety expert with George Washington University. He says the exams in Australia revealed silicosis in more than 10% of countertop workers. So if the same holds true in the U.S.,
we could easily have 10,000 workers here with silicosis and possibly far more.
He notes that Australia banned quartz. He hopes that later this week, California's Workplace Safety Board will vote to do the same. Nell Greenfield, Boyce, NPR News.
The man accused of killing an employee at the Growler Guys pleaded not guilty before a judge today. Lucas Logan faces first-degree murder charges in the May 9th killing of Quusaa Margarsa. KOMO's Lynn Ann Wynn joins us live from North Seattle tonight, where the Growler Guys has reopened for the first time since this happened. Lynn Ann.
Yeah, Molly, the Growler Guys just reopened for the first time this week, and staff here is planning events to honor Margarsa's memory as they try to move forward.
It connects everybody. His smile, his energy, and once a soul like that is lost, it's hard to replace.
The family of Quusaa Margarsa filled the courtroom as the man accused of killing him, Lucas Logan, pleaded not guilty to the murder.
I wish I could go over that and ask him why. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Margarsa, who many called Q, worked at the Growler Guys, where he was found dead on May 9th.
It's a place he loved.
Even before he worked here, he was there almost every day.
As employees got ready to open up for the day, all around the tap house, there are still signs of Q. From his face on the windows to the memorial garden outside to some new coasters ready to welcome customers back with their new motto, hugs over handshakes.
He preferred hugs over handshakes. And he had a way of shaking your hand that just made you actually hug him. He'd pull you close, and then you just had to embrace him.
Investigators say surveillance video shows Margarsa hanging out there with Lucas Logan and a woman after hours the day he was killed. But when Logan and his friend wanted to leave, there was a disagreement, and Logan is reportedly seen on video shooting Margarsa in the head and back. Logan's defense says he fired out of fear Margarsa wouldn't let them leave. But investigators say Margarsa had his back turned and appeared to be opening the door for them when he was shot. As his family and friends wait for accountability, the Growler Guy's staff is planning events to honor Q in the place he loved.
We were just lucky to have absorbed some of the joy. He really brought joy everywhere he went. And so I think if nothing else, just think of him that way. Remember him that way.
And investigators say in addition to video surveillance putting Logan and his friend at the scene, fingerprints also put both people at the murder scene. And Logan's family has turned in a gun, which preliminary testing shows was the murder weapon used. The suspect, meanwhile, remains in custody on $2 million bail. Reporting live in North Seattle, Lynn Ann Wynn, KOMO News.
Lynn Ann, Black male privilege in Seattle. Quusaa, Margarsa. Black male privilege, indeed. Context of white supremacy. Gus T. Renegade, and for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy, information for non-white people, victims of white supremacy, like 25-year-old Quusaa Margarsa. Today's date, Thursday, May 21, 2026. So I have been told. Our weekly Neutralizing Workplace Racism broadcast, not for spectators, especially if you have figured out a way. Man, I'm not going to be like the victim of white supremacy up in Seattle, the tragedy with Mr. Margarsa. What I've been saying for a while now, I have figured out I'm going to get up, work my job, do my 8-hour shift, 9-hour shift, whatever it is, and I'm going to make it safely back to my residence. I will have all the toes, fingers that I started the day with. I'm not going to need any bandages, no bloodshed. It is going to be a safe day on the job. That increasingly seems like a win. We're not even getting to, did you get a raise? Did you get a promotion? Did you safely survive your shift? Disgraceful. Certainly if you have the other suggestions, it would be nice to get a safe day at work and a promotion and a raise. Lots of other constructive things that can happen in addition to stopping the bullets. If we have listeners who have difficulties in the workplace, certainly let us know. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. And for the folks, if you are having difficulties, we will do our best to use logic so that you too can safely survive your shift and maybe even get some of these problems solved without creating new problems. Before I get to Mr. Margarsa, just tragically, it seems like we're getting more of these cases of black people being victims of fatal violence in the workplace. More and more of these cases. Before I get to that, I just want to give a quick update. I'm calling this the lie of the day. Then Mr. Fuller, he said, System of White Supremacy, the primary weapon and means that whites use to maintain, refine, expand their system is deception. They get to the direct violence if that doesn't work. So the lie of the day. Old Gus T been on my FOIA request audit trying to get information, and J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI snooping on Dr. Francis Cress Welsing at 19 years of age. Did the program this past weekend talking about those FBI files, going into detail about all of that and the just intense layers of scrutiny that race soldiers were targeting on very, very young Francis Cress, not a doctor, basically a child. Within all of that, I'd originally got a set of files on Dr. Welsing from like the 70s when she was not a teen, when she was like in her 30s, I believe. And I talked about those previously. And based on some of the codes and such in those files, I'd submitted a different request because it seemed like, or not seemed like, it is. Racists at the FBI, they have this, or had this specific file. We're going to monitor all of the happenings of the niggers in this specific region. Anybody, if they come in to do a talk, or if they lived there, or they drove through, anything like that. They're mentioned in a newspaper in that region, black newspaper type of a thing. We chronicle that. We might clip out the article and save it, and we might need to check on the folks mentioned. So I made a request to get the entire file because they had mentioned Dr. Welsing. There were two specific files that seemed like this, where they were kind of keeping an eye on all the black people, where Dr. Welsing popped up in that. So I make a request for both of these files. Now, they respond and they say, coincidentally, that good old Neely Fuller Jr. is also mentioned in these files. No big surprise, because they were checking on a lot of people. This wasn't specific to an individual. It was just kind of, what are the niggers up to, talking about in general type of a thing. So no big surprise. Fuller's in there too. But they say, Neely Fuller Jr. is in here, but he's only in here a few times. But it's not, the whole file is not about Neely Fuller Jr. As I just said, it's not about any individual. It's kind of what's up with the niggers here, there, lots of people. Everybody, what are they up to? So that's part one. And I say, well, if he's in there and the other folks, then that's what I'm talking about. I'd like the whole file. Please go ahead and process it. So then it's, well, it's 200 pages, and I don't really know if it's that important. We need to rush. We get lots of requests type of a thing. And this is just a regional file. This is just a little local Nigra type thing. And so I say, well, wait a minute. I already got, portions of some of these files. And we talked about this with Dr. Kenneth O'Reilly. These files were routed to the director of the FBI. Some of these files were routed to the Secret Service. That doesn't seem like a local matter. If the Secret Service, FBI director, have to be informed about all of this directly, we blow that one out of the water. So now you gotta remember, we were told, government employee, hey, it's 200 pages, and it's not even that important. It's just local Nigra stuff. So after we reject all that, it's not local Nigra stuff. It is important. Why is the Secret Service checking on all of this? They come back and say, these two files that we were told, hey, it's 200 pages, it's trifling, One of these files is 13,000 pages. The other file is 6,000 pages, totaling nearly 20,000 pages of nothing on local Negro matters, where Dr. Welsing and Mr. Fuller are mentioned amongst many other Negras, that was routed to the director of the FBI and field offices, FBI field offices around the country. This is nothing. I said, as soon as I got that page, because I had to do like a triple take, like, wait a minute, I thought, and this is all from the same FBI employee, suspected race soldier for sure. I said, wait a minute, you just said this file was 200 pages of nothing. How did we get to 13,000 pages? And I guess that's of nothing too, that just happens to have Mr. Fuller and Dr. Welsing on a few. I mean, hey, if you got 13,000 pages, you probably got a whole lot of Negroes' names. And then the additional 6,000, where Dr. Welsing is also mentioned. Probably lots of other Negroes too. I just said on the program this past weekend, talking about the FBI files on, now this is an individual file that is all about Dr. Welsing, got her social security number in it and everything, unredacted. I said they probably have like 10,000 pages of files that are specifically, exclusively on Dr. Welsing. If you're snooping on her at 19, she's not even talking about racism per se, and she's not a doctor, and she's not published anything. Why would I think your interest in her would wane after she is a medical doctor, and she's on TV, and she's published a book, and she's debating a Nobel Prize winner? Why would I think she would be less appealing then? That doesn't even make sense. Logic. They probably got, I said 10, not thousands, they probably got 10,000 pages on Dr. Welsing. And we have not been on our assignment. Not even close. But that is the lie of the day. I don't even know how would you look if you have access to even look? What is the page count? How did you get 200 from a file that is 13,000 pages? Gus T said the same thing I said Sunday, too. Even once I found out it was 13,000, I'm going to need all 13,000. And really, the only reason I would need is because you done lied about this. And you did say the people that I was asking about are on these pages. Let me go ahead and get them all. And now, that would be another one. I'm going to say it again. Clear my throat. You for sure got some dummies about what racism is and how it works. Them dummies are not white. You don't tell me Whitey got 13,000 pages on you Negroes. What black people do you know got files 13,000 pages on Whitey, and it's organized? All right then. And that's not everything. That's just the one. The baby file was 6,000 pages. Welsing was in both. Fuller might be in both too. Not ignorant about racism, but the lie of the day. 200 pages. Back to Seattle, Lake City Way. I was stuck in my heart for many reasons. I know where Lake City Way is. Sobriety would be best. Gus T has not visited, patronized growler guys in Lake City Way, but I have passed growler guys more times than I can count. Easily. Like hundreds of times I have passed growler guys. I have never entered for a beverage, fill my growler, none of that, but I have passed that place literally hundreds of times. I don't remember seeing Mr. Margarsa. This is exactly what I have been emphasizing for the last year. Now, this might be a little different, or in fact, at least I can say, the only thing that's different about this one, I believe, is that Mr. Margarsa, 25-year-old black male, was not killed by another black male. From the news reports that I've seen here in Seattle, Lucas Logan, who you heard in the audio segment, has been arrested, $2 million bond. He, to me, is not classified as black. Now, I do think he might be a non-white, non-black male. You all can look. I just gave you his name, Lucas Logan. Much easier to spell than Mr. Margarsa. But I think if you put in Lucas Logan, Seattle murder, I think his name will pop up, or Seattle shooting, either or. I think his name will pop up. You can see a picture of Mr. Logan because he was in court this week. And you can tell me if you think he's a white person. Do you think he's a non-white, non-black person? I think the latter, non-white person. But it would still be a non-white person killing a black person in the workplace. And still, black people are disproportionately likely to be victims of fatal violence on their job. This is another really pitiful example. And like I said, it seems like we are stacking them up of late. Just all the time. There's some sort of reasoning, we got into an argument, we worked together, we heard the one where it was employees in Washington, D.C., and got into some sort of confrontation or spousal, domestic issues that end up spilling over into the workplace. But man, minimize conflict, really maximize safety in the workplace. Now, with the situation with Mr. Margarsa, they said that he was having contact with Mr. Logan, the alleged shooter in this case, after business hours and at a bar, no less. I've said this for years, any environment, any job where there is consumption of alcohol, where that's allowed, that's a part of the environment where you work, a bar, a brothel, a club, that sort of thing. Oh man, you had even the football games and such, because they serve liquor and all that in the stands and such. They have to have very strict codes, liquor license and all that, very strict codes about safety, even at the ball games and such. They have to say, hey man, we get to the fourth quarter, that's it for the beer sales, because you all get rowdy and act a fool if your team don't win, or if you done lost money on the game, or you all get out on the road and acting all wild and drunken. You have to have lots of rules about safety if it's going to be alcohol in your work environment. That's why a bar, like, oh man, that is a dangerous environment. They have security at a lot of the bars because people go in there and act a fool once they get a little bit of the mad dog in them. I don't know if Mr. Logan was intoxicated or, under the influence. Could be. I don't know if they were friends, if this, they said Mr. Logan was attempting to leave and they had an argument, but they also said the investigators reported that they viewed the video and that Mr. Margarsa, he was opening the door so that they could leave, and they shot him in the back. Like, whoa, what kind of cowardly, come on. All I can say, man, you work at a bar, anything like that, especially if you work late at night, man, do everything that you can to preserve your safety. I think they said it was after hours. If this is not someone like we have rapport and trust that goes back to kindergarten, I I know this person's mom, grandmother, they've been to my house. Like, if it's not that, like this somebody that you just met, today, they just came in their first time and you're meeting them and they want to hang out after, they're like, oh, nope. Is this person scouting the place out to rob us? Does this person have mental health issues? Does this person have a concealed carry permit? And I keep saying, so many people are armed, and so many people are armed in the work environment. Now, this situation, Mr. Margarsa, he was shot and killed by someone who was not a coworker per se, but so many people are armed in the work environment. That is one for sure. Keep that in mind. When you're thinking it might be a little, you said this and blah, 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 and we're just going to have a verbal disagreement, and they're packing and mad, and we've had bunches of incidents. Onion rings, man. Chauncey Meekin's been talking about that. It doesn't take anything. You say this and I say this and we think that's it. Oh, no. You didn't embarrass me or upset me or both. Now I got to kill you. Apparently, especially if you are classified as black, disproportionately likely to be victims of fatal workplace violence. Apparently, it is very easy for us to say the wrong thing, look at somebody wrong, anything. And I don't even think most of the cases of workplace violence that I've heard where a black person was killed, it wasn't even that they fired somebody. We've heard a bunch of them where it's been coworkers. They didn't even fire. Sometimes they just, had a disagreement. We rooting for different teams in the playoffs, that type of thing. Come on. I cannot emphasize enough for black, and particularly for children, because Mr. Margarsa, he was only 25. That's not, a high schooler, but still, that's pretty young. Brain computer still developing. I cannot emphasize enough, if you are younger and you're listening, right on. If you're older and you have children and or you talk to younger folks who are at the beginning of their career, or they maybe are just about to start their career in the labor field, man, talk to them about protecting their own personal safety in the workplace. And that, encompasses many aspects: sexual abuse, verbal abuse, them, not adhering to safety standards. Really safeguard, be vigilant about your safety in the workplace. Just don't be having arguments with coworkers, patrons, that sort of thing. And really emphasize, like I cannot stress that enough. Man, so many people, they are armed and bring weapons to the job. Your coworkers, if you work, at a place where patrons and such are going to be coming to the establishment, that's something that you want to think about and be aware of. Even inquire, is that legal? Is that company policy that coworkers can bring firearms to the job? Oh man, if it's not, then you definitely want to speak up. If you see anything, alert the appropriate authorities. You even ask, who do we report this to if we see a firearm, bullets, that sort of thing in the workplace? Patrons or coworkers. But take that super serious. Just for whatever reason, I could be in error. The one portion that I know I am not in error about: black people are disproportionately like to end up like Mr. Margarsa, killed at work. I know I'm not incorrect about that portion, but I think I could be in error about this. I think these type of incidents are increasing for whatever reason. More mental health problems, more guns, end stage white supremacy, confluence of all of these, plus more. But for whatever reason, I do think there's more of this. I would be very aware and very much about the business of minimizing conflict at work, keeping my mouth shut, and even, man, I'm not doing no happy hour and hanging out and all of that. I'm going to minimize the hangout and all of that. Minimize contact. We are engaged professionally. Again, I'm not saying be mute. I'm just saying you talk about things related to the job. I'm not drifting off into talking about nothing else and politics and what you think about Trump and none of the, not even the World Cup. They might break off into different teams, and then we end up talking about Venezuela and I don't even know about soccer. Yeah, let's just stay on the job and not rambling off, making statements, and certainly not talking about things not related to labor and your work. But it would be very much about minimizing conflict, maximizing safety on the job. Remember Mr. Margarsa? And I'm even a fan where I encourage not hanging out after hours. I've said that. No going back to the job on your day off. We talked about that. You retire. You're not going to be like them folks down to the white people down at the courthouse. You got to come back and visit and hang out and have coffee and all. If you're not at work, I'm not coming on my day off to hang out in the cafeteria and I just miss you and couldn't stand being away from you for a few hours. None of that. I'm not hanging out after hours. Right. False accusation, you took something or whatever the case may be. I would hope it doesn't end up being this bad where there's a loss of life, but anything, just I'm here to work. That's all I'm talking about. That's all I'm doing with my time and energy. And once the work is done, deuces. Get out of here to an even safer environment because there's fewer people at my residence. Condolences to the family of Mr. Margarsa, again, right here in Seattle, Lake City Way. I was even stunned when I was looking at the news report because I said I've never actually entered this facility. So it did take me a moment to be like, wait a minute, is that what? I can't believe. Seattle, indeed. Let's see. We also heard the report about the Department of Education, where they've been in the news so much. Linda McMahon, I think more famously connected with professional wrestling, has been doing the body slam on the Department of Education. And President Trump as well, a part of the whole Doge and government bloat, and we're going to get rid of, demolish the Department of Education. We had said within that, man, that's so dangerous for both black educators and black children because they're doing all this cutting and slashing. And they had said, man, what does this mean for black educators? Are they going to have jobs? And how's this going to impact hiring for black educators? And then for the children, one of the big components, or I guess this would include black teachers too, they said that a part of these cuts, they were letting people go who did cases of so-called civil rights violations in education. Racism in the schools, lots of that. But they said, yeah, we get rid of those folks. Now it'll take even longer, maybe never. If you file a case and say that maybe the school system was racist or something else of that nature, now we don't really have people to carry out those cases. All by design, especially in an environment end stage white supremacy, where you have increasing numbers of non-white children, white fertility issues, fewer white children. Now they say, in the midst of all that, Department of Education is hiring. Wow. And they talked about specific divisions, FSA for the student loans, college and all of that good stuff, which I guess would also be another layer of labor and employment as well, education too. That would be a job. I would have concerns about stability. You literally, the commander-in-chief currently is talking, and Linda McMahon, talking about destroying this department. You all just had all these firings and layings off and everything else. Is that going to be me? Is this a job where I'm going to be able to come and hang out for 3-4 years, build up some experience and some know-how, what have you? Or is this going to be something where I'm here for a year or two by the time I really learn and get some competency and experience about all this? Yeah, we got a little bit too much bloat. You got to get out of here. Is that the type of thing that's going to happen? Just, trying to be, that one, like air traffic control, some of the different jobs where they keep having shutdowns and it seems like there's a lot of instability and I even got to be concerned. Am I going to get paid, or am I going to have a delay and then have to brawl and fight to get the nickels that I missed? Like, wow, that would be something to consider before I sign. Certainly, Department of Education, that would be something to consider before I sign up for this job. Like, when that might even be a question to ask before you, like, are you going to be doing, you all anticipate doing more job cuts within the next 12 months, 24 months even, and see what they say. Let's see. The section on the EEOC, also part government, federal government institution, like the Department of Education, that they are perhaps moving to no longer collecting data, racial classification. They included gender classification, to no longer collecting that data, and how that will impact them being able to do their job. Wow. Fascinating. And I've heard this sort of thing before, where we just won't collect any information. The police say that. They say there's no registry that tracks how many people do the police kill every year, and then we get a breakdown, NIGRA and all the rest of it. Like, we just don't keep track of that sort of thing. They started that report. They said that Bass Pro in 2011, the EEOC accused them of practicing racism. You don't hire niggers. And they said that they used the data about racial classifications of their employees to determine, hey, even in geographic locations where there are a lot of black people, Bass Pro still does not hire black people. Now, I thought that was a great illustration, real world, and I mean, to make it, at least to me, make it flagrant. Even when you are in a region, let's say Atlanta, where you have a large population of black people, and it's the South, so you have all that hunting and everything, tradition, culture. Even there, the employees at the Bass Pro Shop are going to be white, maybe even exclusively white, in an environment where you would have a lot of black people to pick from, and black people who hunt and do all that stuff. Great. But they say they might be moving away from all of this, might be per Trump's request. That's another one I would look at. End stage white supremacy. And even the way that they presented that information, they said the companies, if you release this information about the racial classification of the companies and all that, that the people that do the hiring, they may be swayed. You know, they might be influenced about racial classification, where they're not really hiring the most qualified person. They're just going to pick the racial classification that's needed. I said, wait a minute. I thought the data, just the case they showed from Bass Pro and the rest of it, that the individuals who do the hiring, often classified as white, they are already swayed. They are already making race-based decisions. That's why the Bass Pro, even in the predominantly black areas, all white staff. That's already, we've been swayed. We don't want Leroy. We already are making that's what the system of white supremacy is. That could be a candidate for lie of the day right there, to pretend in the effort to replace white supremacy with justice with regards to hiring and labor. Oh man, you so-called making race-based decisions. Again, I have not seen any evidence at any point that any white people anywhere in the world, they go out when it's time to hire people for jobs, even the lame jobs that people don't want, that they just go out and say, I'm just going to get a nigger. You don't have to be qualified or smart or have gone through school or anything like that. Whatever. You don't even have to be able to read. I just want a black person. We need the right color for the job, and the color is nigger. Now, unless it's something where we're going to pay you like, a dime a day type of thing to do grueling, back-breaking labor and that, yes, then black is the color. But if it's not that, if it's a career, a good job somebody would want, I've never seen that where they just go out and we're going to be race-based and hire non-white people. Like, what? Let's see. The In Missouri, shout to Michael Brown Jr., privileged black male. They are looking at a policy where they will do away with income tax, and they will just load up the taxes on sales tax. And they said if you do it this way, they looked at other regions who've done this, and they said if you do it this way, it will really impact small businesses, lower income residents. I said, that's kind of the double whammy for the non-white people. Certainly the latter, lower in. Mike Brown Jr. was still with us. He would be impacted. We're going to load us so when you go in there to get your strong arm robberies for the cigarillos, you're going to pay a whole lot more. You really have to do some robbing now to get them cigarillos. But the first component was the small businesses, which if they even allow Mike Brown Jr. or any other black people in Missouri to have a business, black people would qualify. Oh man, we're going to let Nate talk to some of the small business owners who I do not think were non-white, but that was audio. But they talked to some of the small business owners, and they were talking about, man, if they do all this loading up on sales tax, we're going to have to increase our prices, and people won't be able to buy as many cookies, not because they don't want the cavities and don't need all this processed sugar, but hey, we got loaded sales tax now, so people aren't going to buy as much. That's the sort of thing I talk about with black businesses, where racists, because we are not in charge, they can easily sabotage and destroy our business efforts. Really, it's snap of a finger. We'll switch the tax line. That's one we will weaponize the tax laws. We'll make it so that the property tax for where your business is located, astronomical. The sales tax will make it so it's astronomical. You can't even make a sale because people won't be able to afford all the taxes on. We got so many ways you'll never catch up. We throw you and your business off the slave ship at any time. Fuller told us that is another painful illustration. In fact, I would be curious to hear if there are black entrepreneurs in Missouri, which I know there are. I'd be very curious to hear what do they think about this. How is this going to impact their business, if at all? Do they think it's going to be negligible? Do they think this will really hurt their bottom line? Do they think it'll have a disproportionate impact? What do black entrepreneurs in Missouri think about this? The section I just said, safety. That is number one. I want to get up, work my shift, make as much money as possible. I want to get back to my residence with all my fingers and toes that I started the day with. No bandages, no bloodshed, no sling, no crutches, none of that. Safe, healthy, looking pretty. I started the day, they call me Pretty Gus. I end the day, I'm still Pretty Gus. And got a pocket full of money because I worked a whole shift. That's the way it's supposed to go for all of us. Not know I started the day, I'm working, cutting these countertops, and now, what did I say? What's that? There's so many different ways where we can't breathe. Didn't I say Mike Brown Jr.? I said Mike. It's so many. I could have put Eric Garner in there. There's so many ways we can't breathe. They put the tear gas out there too when they were protesting about Mike Brown Jr. Can't breathe. Now those countertops, I'd seen that the LA Times, they have been reporting about those nights. They got the pictures, so I know that, as soon as I hear anything about countertops, I know that is victims of racism who can't breathe to put these pretty quartz countertops down, and probably for lots of white people. I'm sure some black people here and there who got them, but lots of white people. I got to have my quartz countertop look so pretty. Get the black one in. I don't want no black people eating on my quartz countertop, you see, but my black quartz countertop. But they get Gomez. The LA, if you're interested, man, the LA Times, they loaded it up. Gomez, Padre, all are just piled up. And young, too, in 20s, 30s, non-white, non-black males who can't breathe. And they said, ain't no cure for this one. Once you get that dust in your lungs, that is a wrap. Now, that's another one. I said, That's the sort of thing where they will say, yes, we have been swayed. We're going to do some race-based hiring. It's got to be dark people that do that. In this one, they say, hey, we're going to get some undocumented dark people maybe. Ain't got no papers, so, hey, you got to take some risky work. You ain't going to be able to call the OSHA people and say, hey, they ain't getting no mask for us, and they ain't doing this in a safe environment, and they messing up my lungs. And hey, I call the ICE people on you. You want the job or no? LA Times, they got bunches of reports. That's another one where I think of Fuller, and I think of folks who say now, I don't say that Pedro and Gomez and them are in love with black people. You are not in love with black people, but that's another day. I don't say Pedro and Gomez and them are about replacing white supremacy with justice. Neither are you. But I do say you're going to have a hard time convincing me. Pedro and Gomez, they are at the root of black people's problems in a system of white supremacy, when Pedro and Gomez, who are on the run from ICE, and they can't breathe because they've been making courts countertops. They can't even run. You heard it. I can't even chase my truck. I can't breathe. Probably going to be there. You start talking about a non-white person saying that I got to get a lung transplant in a system of white supremacy. We don't have no spare lungs for dark people. We don't. You ain't read Vanessa Grubb's book about the organ transplant? We don't have no spare lungs for dark people. Where's the ICE for? Let me call them right now and get you on out of here. In fact, hey, why not just get rid of the quartz tops? They've been talking about this for years. This isn't even no new thing. They've been talking about this a long time. They have had kitchen countertops that were nice, luxury even, that are not quartz. They could do that. It's 2026. You gotta have the quartz tops. Gotta have somebody sacrifice, have somebody non-white sacrifice a lung to get you a kitchen countertop. And hey, we don't even cook no more. I've been at it. Dude, the microwave. Dude, DoorDash. We don't even cook no more. Why you need a quartz countertop? Dude, paper plates, man. We don't even cook. Come on. Keep my lungs, man. Let's see. Oh my God. Wait a minute. They said in that report, because they were talking about the other states. Now I told you, I'm familiar with this from the LA Times. They started moving and checking other states. They spoke with the victim down in Florida, and they said, oh no, he got the silica disease as well. And they thought it was pneumonia at first. I suspect the dark people in Florida, they got a lot of them to pick from as well. But they said in that report, NPR, they said, this is another one. It's not well investigated. We don't really know how many people are getting all of this silica poisoning and destroying them. We don't really know. In fact, we might be missing about half of the amputations. Whoa. Like, whoa. Especially if you're talking, this is a lot of industries with non-white people, and I just keep saying the same thing. Safety. We don't have no better safety regulations codes in 2026 to keep people from what I keep saying. Hey, I'm trying to go home. I started my day. I had 10 fingers, 10 toes. I should have that same count when the day is done. That goes for all my appendages. It's 2026. We don't have no code to at least keep. I know I got to give up my lung, but I got to give up a leg, a finger, a hand too. Come on. And that's the sort of thing telling younger, because I suspect some of these non-white, non-black males who do the quartz tabletops cutting, I suspect a lot of those folks are younger. They said the male that they talked to who's looking all sick, got to get a lung transplant, he was 39. I suspect he had been doing this for some years. So you got people that are 25, 30, they are probably totally uninformed about all of this. Talk to younger, non-white people. You want to research and learn about the work that you're doing, the place that you work for, safety concerns, all of that. You want to be as knowledgeable as you can, and then really pay attention to safety rules and regulations. Is your job even following the rules and regulations? They're supposed, per LA Times, they're supposed to have specific safeguards about how you handle and use all that court stuff. And then, hey, at the end of the day, we could just get rid of it. That would be best in my opinion, but they're supposed to have all these regulations and do this and water and masks and all the rest of that. And you have some, I'm not going to do all, I'm not paying all that money for Gomez. Be mindful of those rules and regulations. You want to be employed for a place where they take the safety guidelines seriously. Literally, just had, like today, I just saw it. You had a listener who commented on one of our Neutralizing Workplace Racism programs from earlier this year. We were talking about the exact same thing, safety regulations on the job, and he said, I do construction where you want to double, maybe quadruple check. Does my construction company, do they abide by all of the safety regulations? It better be yes for everything for construction. Maybe airline, that might be another one. Be like Boeing having planes falling out the sky and the screws and everything. But the listener who wrote in, he said, man, I do construction in Pennsylvania. And he said, I work for a company. And he said, man, they were cutting corners, as they say, not following all the rules and regulations. Now, again, construction company, building collapsed and killed 3 people. Maybe I should have included, I want to make sure when I get back at the end of my work shift, I got all my fingers and toes. I do actually get back. You don't send me back in no pine box. I got all my fingers and toes, but you done squashed me, squished me, or whatever the case. I want to be alive, function, pretty Gus. I'm still alive. I got all my fingers, toes, feet, everything. Safety first. Nothing. I don't care how big your paycheck, how much the paycheck matter. You done lost your lungs. How much does the paycheck matter? You done lost 2 fingers, even 1 finger. How much does the paycheck matter? You done lost 1 finger. Nothing matters more than safety. Generally speaking, race soldiers are deliberately unsafe and reckless with regards to black people on the job. So as I've been saying that one for years, that right there might be, or you got to channel Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Frances Cress even, channel her. That's going to be where you need your black self-respect to promote safety on the job so that you can get home in one piece, all your fingers and toes intact. That's it. We will check email number, see if folks have commentary to share. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Folks can let us know if you've been on a job, maybe to inspire others. If you've been on a job where you've had to say something about safety, where you could see, hey, this is dangerous. I know Tumbling Dice has talked about, because he drives a school bus. That's another one where maybe double quite anything where you got to drive. Make sure they are about safety. Vehicle, the brakes have been checked and all the rest of it. But safety. But Tumbling Dice was telling us, like, man, I'm driving the bus and we got children on the bus and myself trying to get around safely, and they're ignoring, like, wait a minute, you got a problem with the bus here and you don't want to have the children on that. We don't worry about it. They'll be fine. Wait a minute. Whitney said the children of the future. What you mean? Just ignoring and get out there. We'll get to it next week. Be real. Ruthlessly document any and everything with regards to safety, especially if things are happening that should not be happening. Jeopardize your safety. Write down every bit of it. Then you can find out who you need to send this information to and all the rest of it. But man, that might be your black self-respect. Your task or assignment of counter-racism is, let's see if we can make, and with a personal investment of, I'm trying to make sure I keep all my toes. make sure I live through my shift. Safety first. All right, we'll see if folks have thoughts and then emails as well. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. And then the number 720-716-7300. The code 564943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Now get to one of our emails and then double check, see if folks have thoughts, suggestions to share for the workplace, minimizing conflict with black people, keeping us safe, getting that promotion, other goodies. Let's see, email number 1. And we even got an update this week. Always appreciate the updates. Make sure we're not talking crazy, or at least to let us know how things are kind of progressing on the job. We had a privileged black male dial in, I think last week, and they were telling us on their job they were bending over and a white man, suspected race soldier, sexually assaulted him while he was bending over to address another task. He reported this to supervisors in the workplace. This white man, suspected race soldier, was eventually terminated, unless my memory is bad. And the black male took a few days off to just try to recuperate from the shock of, all this. He did, thankfully, contact the police to submit a police report, which I 8 thumbs up, great job. He came back to work. There was lots of gossip, rumors from the other folks on the job and all the rest of it. So we'll get our update today, but just that was the major catalyst incident, this sexual abuse from a white male race soldier on the job. Okay, let's see. Go back and get the update. Actually missed one because I think we got a couple updates, so I'm going to make sure I go back and get from the very beginning here. Or not beginning of our updates here. Okay. First update. I believe the last time I wrote in, I mentioned that I was going to have my first day with the therapist on my second day back to work, and she prescribed me pills and suggested that I take the day off. I know I did mention Dr. Welsing. Generally, she was not a big medication person. Not that medication can't be helpful. I know she said that, but generally it would be, let's talk. Then we'll see if the medication is really necessary. But let's have some honest, truthful dialogue about the system of white supremacy racism and how that's impacting your specific health dynamics and situation. Continuing. On the day that would have been my third day back to work, I heard everyone in the job talking about the incident where he was sexually assaulted. I had people that did not know me ask me about the incident, and I had people approach me. It was a white man who was training me in the new department that they changed me to upon my request, and he proceeds to talk to me about the incident as if he does not know I am the victim. He might have been unaware, but these are the games racists play. Absolutely. He also told me how my job has never lost a lawsuit, which is a lie. I did the research. They lose lawsuits, and they also settle outside of court. So I'm not sure if they sent him to intimidate me. Bravo on doing your research. And that's something that I've said for a long time about when you accept a job, get hired to work for a company, you should research that company. Like, check, have they had any safety violations, workplace deaths, workplace lawsuits, accusations of racism, anything like that. Check, see what it is. You can talk to other employees. You can look online, but do some research. You're going to be hanging out at this place, who knows, years, hours, who knows. But see what you can find. That is important. even if people try to lie to you in the future about what has happened at the company, what their history is. Oh, I'm glad I did my research, because folks are trying to lie to me about all this. And I totally believe he could have been sent directly from the powerful white people at this company. Yeah, just make sure you go hang out with Leroy today and mention, well, he never lost no lawsuits, so we'll intimidate him. Maybe that way we won't lose any more lawsuits, in the immediate future. Continuing, did his research. He then proceeded to tell me how he has sexual intercourse with old ladies while their husbands watch. I would say this is hard to believe, but you and the listeners are all affected by the same white supremacy as me, so this is not far-fetched. I've heard of it. Swingers, I think, as they call it. Continuing, there was also a black male who is my new supervisor who asked me, did I come to mixing because I wanted to or because I had a problem with someone in encapsulation? I told him it was my decision. I will not be returning to work today, and I informed my lead, and I also informed my HR. I told them I would just like my life to go back to normal like it was before the incident. I also asked them how information as serious and confidential as this can be released around the workplace. I also have told them I feel my situation is not being handled seriously because I am a male. I have also brought to their attention and the police's attention. I've also talked to the detective regarding the case, and he has to subpoena information because my job is not being helpful. I have been informed by my coworkers since the start of my employment in January that the white man who attacked me was in a white supremacy gang. Yikes. I guess yikes for this, because retaliation in the workplace and then retaliation outside of the job, where this white dude might, hey, old black dude done got me fired. Not, I should have kept my hands to myself or anything like that, but old black dude done got me fired and had the audacity to file a police report about me smacking him on the hind parts in the workplace, when they do that every day. They got the basketball game, the black people go and smacking, good job. They go pat each other on the hind parts all game long, and it's no problem. And I do it, and then he's going to say, I raped him, I assaulted him and embarrassed him in front of everybody on the world. See, I could see him getting upset about that. And if he is in a white supremacy gang, I'm going to go and get my brethren, race soldiers, and we go find this Negro. That might be something I would be concerned about if that is accurate. Let's see. We have further updates. I'm just including this is from the end of last week. The gossiping, which is, I almost want to say standard operating procedure, especially if it is a situation where it's a black person as a victim, where things are not taken seriously, and there's not a professionalism. There's not even a decency where something, now, just imagine if he had done this to a white woman. I do not think that white woman would have had people joking, snickering around the office. I think it would have been lots of sympathy and, oh, I never wanted Leroy working here, and I can't believe he did that. And that's what they say about them black men. That's the type of environment I imagine it being, not something to snicker and and he wouldn't have had to call the police. If it had been a black male doing this to a white female, they would have called the police on Leroy. Probably even if Leroy had done this to a white man. That's update number 1. As I said, we have a few here, so we'll get to the rest of them. Update number 2, same person, sexual abuse here, continuing. After I was sent home with pay following the meeting, a meeting was called the next day, and I was terminated, and the reason was homophobic and sexual comments. I am not sure how, because I turned in my email that night, and in the meeting they said someone was making the same claims as me, but I said something first. And so he had already reported that there had been some sort of homophobic slurs, comments made in the workplace when people were gossiping about how he was violated. Continuing. I also called an employment lawyer in addition to my secured HR workers' comp lawyer. I now have no job and my benefits stop in 1 month. I believe I forgot to pick a handle. I guess the Geechee Hurricane will do. I am from the low country as well. Wow. Just got the update on Friday, right? So I'm thinking, oh, okay, we'll have something to update next week's broadcast. And then this is at the beginning of the week. Like, wow. That is so fast. I can only say, one, my condolences to you, sir. Make sure I pronounce it correct. Geechee, the Geechee Hurricane. Condolences for the just stunning loss of employment, and in such a tacky fashion where, and this is so frequent for many black people, where losing a job, not that we did anything wrong, not that we were shabby employees, showed up late, working poorly, incompetent, none of that. He, in fact, working hard. I was at work and doing my job when I was sexually violated by a white man. You all can say, well, we fired him, and you let everybody else make this their amusement and entertainment for the week, where they can sit around, snicker, point, giggle at me, and like, come on. That's what's it, the professionalism? Come on. But this is so common for many black people in the workplace, and even, unfortunately, I think it was Bay Area Mom said, hey, any of us can be fired in the next 5 seconds. 5 seconds. You don't have to say anything. You have to do anything. You have to be a poor quality employee. None of that. You could be employee of the month. You could be fired in the next 5 seconds. And I totally, at least in my view, this to me seems like the company saying, oh no, we just want to get rid of this dude. He's a troublemaker, even trouble for us. Allegations of sexual misconduct and all that. And we got to be getting rid of white people. And then looking back at us and how we handled all this because we didn't handle it correctly, saying because he's really same thing they said in the opening report, that we need that data, EEOC, we need the data to focus on how whites and men might be mistreated in the workplace. That was the way that they phrased it. Whites and men, you are a male, and this is sexual abuse by another white man, and they're not taking it seriously and minimizing, in my view, what happened. Even, like I said, what was important to them was we're going to protect ourselves legally, and I think we talked about that before. HR is not going to be there to support you, help you, even to solve your problem. HR is there to legally protect the company. That's their number one priority. Really, sometimes seems their only priority. You are just, whatever. We're here for the company's legal protection, and I think that might have been, hey, we can just cut bait with all of these folks, and then we don't have to hopefully deal with this. The folks can sit around and snicker about whatever, and then none of them work anymore, and we can just move forward, pretend it never happened. Might be that sort of thing. At least that's what it sounds like to me. I think this person might be in a tremendous position for a retaliation suit, especially if all of this is well documented. Can't emphasize enough, anytime you have any sort of physical contact, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, document everything. That's why I said I'm so thankful that this person filed the police report. That is some documentation right there. Date, time, where everything, it'll just be right there. You get a copy of that police report to supplement, what you wrote down in your own notes about it. Bravo. info. And even important because the company, this is before they terminated him, they were uncooperative with the police investigation of this incident. If this had been a white woman, and our listener had, done some fondling, groped her on the elevator or in the stairwell or something, and she filed the police report about all of that, you think it would have been the same way? They're not going to cooperate, and we don't want to give no details about all this, and we're going to be obstinate. You think that would have been their stance? I do not. Anyway, I think this person is in great position to file a suit for retaliation, unjust retaliation in the workplace, and there's plenty of that. Now, again, that's one of those where you do have to be honest. This is probably the sort of thing that would not be resolved in a day, a month. You would have to acknowledge that up front. Hey, I'm willing to sign up. If it takes 18 months, it takes 18 months. If it takes a year, it takes a year. If it takes 3 years, it takes 3 years. I'm going to sign up, follow it through to conclusion, do my best, counter racist logic, being patient about all of this, and just see it, do my best to see if I can get some justice for what happened here. Being honest, and if you're not willing to do all that, follow, hey, knowing this is not going to be over in a day or at the end of the week, maybe I'm not going to be able to pursue this because, I'm just not going to stick to, I got other things, I got children or whatever else, and I'm just not going to be able to see it through for a year or 2 years or whatever. I reached out or shared this with the bot because I've said, hey, they've had pretty solid counter-racist info for the workplace for a few situations, especially if you can kind of feed in the full scenario. And since I already had it written out, I could just feed them the whole scenario and see what suggestions they had, especially now since we had a termination. Per the chat bot. Welcome, Geechee Hurricane. It is incredibly difficult to face a sudden termination, especially right after speaking up. However, being fired under these specific circumstances changes your legal situation significantly. When an employer terminates you immediately after you report an assault, a hostile work environment, and a breach of confidentiality, it is often viewed by the courts as a classic case of illegal retaliation. Fabricating or weaponizing a counter-complaint, accusing you of homophobic and sexual comments right after you complained about the white trainer's graphic sexual comments is a common tactic used to create a paper trail to justify firing a whistleblower. Now that you are no longer in that environment, your focus must shift completely from trying to fix the workplace to protecting your livelihood and building your legal case. 1. Maximize your legal team's efforts. Update both lawyers immediately. Provide both your workers' compensation lawyer and your new employment lawyer with the exact termination date, the written or verbal reason given, homophobic and sexual comments, and the names of the HR staff or managers who fired you. Coordinate the claims. Your employment lawyer will look at this as a wrongful termination and retaliation case. Your workers' compensation lawyer needs to know because your job loss was a direct result of reporting the workplace injury, assault, which can impact your temporary disability or wage replacement benefits depending on your state. Preserve your timeline. Write down exactly how the termination phone call or meeting went down. Note who spoke, what exact words they used, and whether they allowed you to defend yourself or present emails you sent the night before. Fast track your external federal state claims. File the retaliation charge immediately. Do not wait. Update or file your charge with EEOC or your state civil rights agency. The fact that you were fired the very next day after formalizing your complaints provides strong circumstantial evidence of a causal connection between your protected activity, reporting racism, assault, and your termination. Submit the email trail. Provide the EEOC and your lawyer with the time-stamped copy of the email you sent the night before you were fired. This proves the company had full knowledge of your complaints before they officially terminated you. 3. Mitigate financial and health benefit loss. File for unemployment benefits immediately. File a claim with your state's unemployment office today. Your employer will likely try to contest it by claiming you were fired for misconduct, the alleged comments. How to handle the application. State clearly that you were terminated in retaliation for reporting a physical assault, racial harassment, and a breach of confidentiality. In many jurisdictions, if an employer cannot prove the misconduct with solid, objective evidence, the state will grant you benefits. I would give all of the documentation and especially the time-stamped emails of when you made your reports and then when you were terminated to evidence what you're saying for unemployment. Bridge your health coverage. Since your benefits expire in a month, look into your options immediately so you do not lose access to your therapist and medications. I thought this was great too. COBRA. Your employer is legally required to send you a COBRA notice allowing you to keep your current insurance, though you will have to pay the full premium yourself. Healthcare.gov, the marketplace. Losing job-based insurance qualifies you for a special enrollment period. Because you currently have no income, you may qualify for heavily subsidized plans or your state's Medicaid program, which would ensure your therapy and prescriptions remain covered at little to no cost. 4. Support the police detective. Inform the detective of your firing. Let the detective handle the criminal assault case. Know that the company terminated you immediately after you pushed for an investigation. Hand over witness details. If you have the contact information or full names of the co-workers who warned you about the attackers' white supremacist gang ties, give them directly to the detective. Now that you are out of the building, you can speak freely to those co-workers outside of work hours if you have their phone numbers, but let the detective handle the heavy interviewing. Great recommendation on the interviews with employees who I guess knew they weren't ignorant about racism, and they knew this white guy was in a gang, white supremacist gang, doing God knows what, and then brought that activity into the workplace, sexually abusing black males. But that might be the sort of thing in the future. If you get, if there's a problem in the workplace, or even if it's not a problem, but someone is telling you constructive information, maybe you swap numbers just so you can reach out and touch them again, maybe. I'm a little hesitant about that, but maybe constructive, especially if you get terminated and you don't have direct access to them anymore. Great to have a number. I got a response after I shared the, from the suggestions from the bot. Geechee Hurricane thought the bot had some constructive suggestions. That might be some for other. Hopefully, we don't have any other non-white people who get fired this week or anytime soon. That's it. That's one that we can kind of pull and keep. If other folks find themselves in that situation, being victims of retaliation, there we go. Already kind of got that on file, and kind of a template to deal with that. Maybe we can even hear back from Geechee Hurricane to hear if he was able to implement some of this and then how it worked out for him. Let's see. Much obliged for the emails. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-720-7234. 716-700. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. See if we have if we have folks who have maybe suggestions for black males, non-white males who are victims of sexual abuse in the workplace. Situation we gave from Geechee Hurricane. You can let us know that as well. See if folks are spectating or have thoughts to share. They're spectating. I don't know. We'll give maybe 5 or so. See if they have thoughts, observations to share, either their own workplace situation or what they have heard about thus far. We'll be here on Friday. Moving along, Catherine Massey Book Club, Michelle Alexander, New Jim Crow, easily one of the worst books ever. We will resume 6th installment tomorrow, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Catherine Massey Book Club, and then Saturday we will review the past 7 days or so on the Plantation Counter-Racist Weekly Review. What is happening throughout the planet certainly relates to white supremacy racism, but that will be on Saturday evening. Let's see, that's it. For, I think it looked like folks might be still spectating, not sure. I don't know. If we have folks who are on a job one where it is safe, you don't have any concerns about, I hope they not gonna have no major medical incident and that sort of thing, and I don't never have to worry about that. I know I'm gonna be safe and good and get home and be eating dinner well with the family. If that is you, man, please share. Let us know. How did you do this? How did you get those raises? How did you avoid conflict? How did you avoid having to be fussed at and such for being late as a victim of white supremacy? Let us know how you managed all of that with minimal abuse, not being sexually traumatized and all the rest of it. Share. Let us know. You can always jot down notes and drop us an email, untiljustice@gmail.com, and we can share online and be discreet, so we don't have to give your name or identifying information. If you have figured out a way to kind of make it so-called corporate, get a good job. I was going to say corporate world, but get a quality job, be well compensated, and hey, I am not messed over and mad, people sabotaging me left and right. If you have figured out any of that, all of that, let us know. You can write it down, take good notes. untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Or certainly you can dial in, let us know. Let's see. Give folks their last minute or so to see if they have observations, thoughts to share, or if they're spectating for the week. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. There. Let's see. Anything? I want to make sure I get in for, because that really bothered me. We had the caller who lost in quickly because they had just told us about that whole situation with I think the beginning part of last week. So really saddened to hear about all that. But that is the system of white supremacy, and even why we have this segment specifically for neutralizing workplace racism, and for a situation where I can't even really pick out it's anything that he could have done differently, because all of this was instigated when he was on the job working and just bent down to pick up a box, containers that he needed for his duties. And in that's the moment that a race soldier, oh yeah, break this, man. For that to be the cat, just wow. I think the phrase is insult to injury. Isn't that how they say it? That would qualify, in my opinion. But that is the system of white, and even it's beyond, because it's not just that happened and he gets fired, for them to then come back and accuse him, oh, you making all them homophobic slurs and comments and such. That's why we had to, like, what? Anywho, very sorry that happened to you, sir. I hope you're able to get some good information from your attorneys, and hopefully, yeah, this is, maybe you can kind of keep us abreast as your legal situation moves forward. If you're able to get some traction, get in court about all of this, I would really appreciate updates and all that, so we can kind of hear what happens, and certainly be rooting you on and wishing you best of luck in your court case to, get, maybe you can bankrupt the company and get so much money. But yeah, this would be one I'd be very eager to just, stay posted on. If there's anything that we can do to help us from our weak position, let us know. But yeah, I would definitely appreciate getting more details as we kind of move along, and then seeing if you're able to be successful, prevail in court. So maybe, we'll hear some updates as we move forward in the future, maybe, if the listener is so inclined. We'll keep it discreet. Geechee Hurricane, we'll keep it discreet. Much obliged, sir. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. It looks like, I don't know, folks are still spectating, maybe, hopefully, at least maybe no abuse, mistreatment in the work. I guess we are coming up on a holiday with so-called Memorial Day weekend. I guess I get my PSA out now for the people in this part of the world. Sobriety would be best. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy, even with a holiday where you might have the day off on Monday. I guess I'll get that. I can say that. I hope all the victims of white supremacy, maybe you'll get Monday off, or maybe some extra days off, or if you do have to work, you get holiday pay, so you get that double time, hopefully, for all the folks out there. But at minimum, a day off where you can be away from all the abuse and racism, spend some time with your attempted family and people that you care about, or be by yourself, get some rest, eat some healthy food, enjoy your spring, maybe get some exercise, go out and enjoy warm spring weather. But yeah, it is a holiday coming up, so sobriety would be best. Yeah, especially relate that to younger people. If you have folks who maybe just started driving, haven't been driving as long, hey, you do not want to be messing around this weekend, maybe even Monday, because that'll be the holiday technically, but not this weekend. You don't want to be messing around late and all that. Hey, all kinds of folks will be out under the influence of God knows what. You might not even want to be out on the sidewalk once it gets dark. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, they got the firecracker. That is the same thing I said about the workplace with the Memorial Day, because they will get them firecrackers and act a fool. You want to get through Memorial Day weekend and Monday with all your fingers, and you started out with 10 of each. When we get to Tuesday of next week, I want 10 of each. Anyway, my PSA for Memorial Day: safety, sobriety would be best. And you do not need firecrackers. We do not need no burn down the house and all that for no Memorial Day. You can think of Neely Fuller Jr., Korean War veteran, 2 times. Let's see, our caller, I had mentioned it before, safety in the workplace, mentioned it before, privileged black male, tumbling dice. Did you have commentary to share, maybe even an update? I'd said for tumbling dice, because he works for the school system in California, I'd said that you can get video, you can make a request to get video footage of where these different race soldiers have threatened you. Maybe we get an update and see if he was able to get the video footage of when he was threatened. Good to hear from you, sir.
Hi, good evening, Gus. I just got off. I'm sorry I haven't been calling the last couple of weeks because I've been working overtime in the evening. Anyhow, with the video, I requested the video, and my supervisor told me that you shouldn't pursue it because if you pursue it, then they're going to add more stuff. I said, no, I want to pursue it. So when I put in the request for the video, all of a sudden they said the video didn't show any kind of good type of footage, and it wouldn't be useful to the investigation. So I knew what they did. They scrubbed this. They scrubbed the video, or they just didn't want to give it to me because I had them on the line on me and spied on me and said I was in my car, not doing anything. So I filed a complaint against him, and the instructions were for him to leave me alone and for him not to retaliate. But he retaliated against me last week because I was instructed to put a sign up with my name on it because they're doing construction where we're working. And my supervisor told me that we're supposed to put our name on the sign individually so no parents come and take our parking space. So when I was doing that, this individual went and told the higher-ups that I was putting up my name there, and I shouldn't be putting up my name there because the parking. True, because the supervisor gave me authorization to do that, but he just did that to try to harass me and provoke me, So I'm going to do a retaliation report on him, and then after that, I'm going to file another complaint of retaliation with the Department of Fair Housing and separate investigation. And another issue I have, the head of the union, he tried to get me in trouble too because I complained about the safety. And he was always asking for, what time are you going to be back? What time are you going to be back? And all the bus drivers complained that they felt that this guy was rushing them. So I complained to one of the yardie to say, hey, let that guy know that I'm going to complain to management about him rushing us. So he have me removed from my school site. So basically he threatened me because I complain about safety for the drivers and for the kids. So when my supervisor told me what happened, I wrote a letter to the union up north, and I complained to the union about what this guy was doing. So the union sent me an email saying that they received my complaint, but they didn't do anything else about it. They play crickets about it, I guess, because they know this guy is in the wrong and they know that they're liable. So I've just been going through a lot, and I just got off work right now, and some people are trying to say that I didn't call in to make sure that all the kids were dropped off. So as we speak right now, I'm going through a back and forth with my supervisor because these people are trying to get me in trouble, saying that I did not call in, which I called them directly on my cell phone to let them know that all the kids have been dropped off. So that's what I've been going through right now. So I just called to update you on what was happening, and thanks for letting me share.
Wild. Much obliged, Tumbling Dice. Let's get my nose together here. I got to go back to the video. He said when going back to the video, because this is what we had talked about some weeks ago when he first called in, or last called in, I'll say. And I said, oh man, you should get the video. And I think that was the bot recommended that too. Or I think I said it, and then I checked in with the bot, and the bot said, yes, that is something that you can do based on law in California. If you're an employee in the school system in California, the video footage at the school that is a part of your employee record, especially if we're talking about you and an allegation of what you did or what you didn't do, you can request the video footage. He said when he went back to request this footage, his white supervisor, whatever, didn't say, that's not the law. That's illegal. You're not allowed to access the video. That's not what he said. He said, oh, tumbling dice, you shouldn't do that. What? Wait a minute now. I shouldn't access video footage to see a record when people are making a false charge against me? I shouldn't do that. Not that it's it's not permitted. Not that you're not allowed to do it. You shouldn't do it. And then the threat, well, if you do that, well, then they're going to try and add some more charges. Wait a minute. That seems dishonest. If I did something incorrect, why don't we address that now? Then I won't do it again. Why would it be we're only going to add on additional accusations if you try to access that video? None of that sounds just logical. I mean, what? that sounds like, yeah, you up to no good. Threatening me? Like, what? And he did the correct thing. No, I think I'm going to need the video because, yeah, they didn't falsely accuse me. I'd prefer the video, sir. I said, oh, my gosh. What? And see, the video is corrupt. We didn't even get nothing be useful in the investigation, see? Yeah, even that. I'm going to need a copy from my personal records, and that way I can make an evaluation. Like, because none of that is acceptable. I think, and I believe that is California law. You can get a copy of the video for your personal records if you're an employee. Hey, let's rock and roll. I would like a copy. Let's get it, and then I can make my own. Maybe I got better video equipment at my residence than what school got. Maybe that. I would still want the copy, and bravo for continue to proceed. See that they sit there and work against us at every step of the way. Every step. You lied and let me go rifle through your car and such and make all these false charges and even bring the police in to make false charges. That's why I said, like, file a police report. If somebody is fondling you or groping you or assaults you on the job, file a police report, because they will certainly file one on you and call the police in a heartbeat. You done stole our weed whacker and all the rest of it. So whatever. The retaliation, we got that 2 times from privileged black male employees where they report incorrectness and say that. Haven't I been saying that? The S word, been saying that all day long. All day long. Safety. And I said, tumbling dice, working with the little people, man. Now, if he drove around, for the prison bus, let's say, in California, all the no-count black males, they got tons with 3 strikes and all the rest of it down there. If he was driving the prison bus, who would care about the safety? I hope the brakes fail. Kill them all. Save taxpayers some money, maybe. He's driving the children. I said, Whitney Houston, didn't I just say that today? I said, Whitney Houston, that's our future. We want to make sure, double sure, the brakes work, steering column work, all the tires been inflated properly aligned, steering column work correctly, turn signals work, everything. And this has happened repeatedly. Like, hey, it's a problem with that. Shut up. We don't want to hear all that. Shut up. Put our weed back and shut up. I'm not asking for a raise. I'm just pointing out this and say, shut up. You're not getting a raise, and we're not doing nothing. The bus is fine. Shut up. Drive the bus and shut up. Leave them white women alone. Retend. That's document everything. Even that way, you can show this is a pattern of them minimizing safety concerns for the school bus for the children. But even with the immediacy, document everything, time, date, exactly what it was said. I even, just my view, and I think Fuller endorsed this as well, especially if you're talking about safety, like, man, in my view, you are doing God's work, sir. Like, man, I'm reporting safety problems for these children. Bus could catch on fire. It could be anything. I'm trying to help out so we can keep everybody safe. And y'all, shut up. Just try to. Come on, man. Like, it is not a complaint. I'm just of the opinion it's not a complaint. If it is a safety violation, a safety concern, I am making a report. This could be a potential safety violation. This could be a potential safety hazard. I am making a report. These are never complaint, even from a legal standpoint, because I don't think it's illegal at this point. I don't think it's a legal complaint about the safety. That is, and that's the way they treat it. They minimize it, like, you're just a little nobody child over here whining about nothing. No, I'm not complaining. I'm making a serious report. We might have a potentially hazardous situation here on this bus with these children. And then he says the union. Oh, and with the safety, the rushing them. Like I said, he's presented these exact type of scenarios before, working to drive the school bus. I guess maybe if this was the city bus, and you just got the regular civilian addicts and drug users and whatever, they're like, okay, you can drive them off. Okay. But I mean, this is the school bus. Dang. He said they rush them. Hurry up. Take too long. We trying to do the safety. Take too long. Time's up. Come on. That document. That sound like Boeing. I mentioned them before. Like, that's end up with the planes, and they done took off, and screws and bolts are flying out everywhere in the plane. The same thing end up with the bus. Going down the stop sign, then fell off the side of the bus, and the brakes don't. What is going on? Plantation is not safe, so this is many work environments. Safety schmafety. We don't care nothing about no safety. Document all of that. Date, time, who said what, as much information as you can, detailed as possible. That's saving your behind, and nice paper trail of why did this problem happen? Oh, we don't care about safety. Even when we are made aware that there are safety problems, we still don't care about safety. We'll wait for the bus to blow up, and then we'll do something, maybe. Union not being helpful here either. I did catch that one at the end of it. Not that I'm surprised. I think that is why Fuller recommends United Independent, because a number of folks are in jobs where white union officials will not be as helpful as they could with some of this. I would document that as well, especially with the safety, because that just seems like such a... Who should be opposed to safety, keeping the children safe? Like, that should be like an easy one to rally people around. But that idiot does say white people do not care about children. But I'm not surprised the union officials, that's why it's very much United Independent and being geared towards us independently doing as much as we can as one person and not looking for a whole lot of group support and all the rest of it. But yeah, that is a little disheartening where the union does not have our back and is not looking to help do the correct thing here either. Did you have more on that one, Tumbling Dice?
What's that? Could you repeat that, Gus?
I just wanted to make sure. Did you have anything more to share on that one, Tumbling Dice?
Well, the thing is, I'm paying my money to the union, and they should be protecting me, or else I'm not getting in trouble with management, And that's my concern. it's like they don't respect you. You know, they just want to take the money and then, cause you problems. And I'm quoting someone. I feel important because, those brakes on those buses are very powerful, And if you have to squeeze them, someone cuts you off while you're rushing to get back there, and if someone cuts you off, and you squeeze that brakes too hard, and you can see the lot of them kids, especially these small kids, that air brake could do a lot of damage to their neck and back, so that was my concern.
Document, ruthlessly document everything. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about brakes on a school bus and whether they're performing correctly. Like, that is not whining, that is not complaining, that is being super serious, super professional. That, I thought, is exactly what they wanted from operators, to make sure that all the little tykes get safely to and from school. Yeah, that is not the sort of thing that should be minimized or rushed, in my opinion. I would document all of that, and with as much detail as possible in terms of what the rushing was like, who was doing it, what was said, to know, so that we knew, hurry up, you're taking too long, we don't care about the break. What did they say when they were alerted about the breaks? Like, exactly verbatim, like all of that. And then that's the type of thing that I would even want some electronic follow-up, so that I can just, in email, follow up per our discussion about the brakes malfunctioning, and was told, hurry up, this doesn't matter. Whatever they said, just co-sign, just making sure that this is the way that we're going to proceed, that I didn't mishear things. But I would want that in writing, timestamp, date, all of that, so that I'm, super protecting myself, and then so that there's a nice, well-documented trail. If a problem does arise, I was trying to correct it, and they ignored me, told me to shut up, did whatever they wanted to, did everything except solve this problem.
Well, what I did, I documented everything. Everything. What I'll do when I get a chance, I'll mail everything over to you in a few weeks. But I documented everything very specifically, down to the minute detail of what they did. So I tell them that if this happens again, I'm not gonna drive the bus no more.
Personal safety. Hey, I've been saying it all this broadcast specifically, although I've said it many times before, because there is so much of this. This is not no anomaly. This is not bizarre. This is standard operating procedure in the system of white supremacy, which is a little scary because he drives a school bus. Wow, that is super reckless, super negligent. But this sort of, who cares about the safety regulations, and we just do whatever we got to hurry up, chop, we got to go, rush. That is very, very common. And I have said that sometimes it might be Dr. Wells, the spirit of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, is commanding you to speak up, and it's not, you got to write a book on the ISIS papers. It's not you got to go kill all the race soldiers or whatever. It's, hey, I got to speak up because the safety regulations are not being followed here. I got one. I'm trying to protect myself so I can get home in one piece, and then maybe some other victims of racism will benefit too, but they're not even following the safety regulations. Someone could die. That is worth speaking up about. That's not a complaint. That's not whining. I am trying to potentially save a life, maybe my own. Let me muster all the black self-respect that I can, channel Dr. Welsing, and hey, brakes ain't. He just said, hey man, I can end up killing myself on this thing. Them brakes are powerful. Hurting a child or whatever. Even that, I wouldn't want that on my conscience that I didn't hurt a child. I'm sorry.
I get this stuff. One more thing I'd like to add. Two more things. This guy is the director of campus security. He's the director of campus security. And then you know what else he does? He, in the evening time when we're taking the kids out, he loads up the bus. And have all the kids in there like kind of sardines, blocking the aisle, the emergency aisle. So if that bus was supposed to turn over or slip or something. Now nobody can get up. Nobody can get out the bus, and I can't even go to the back to even pull anybody up to save lives because it will be so cramped up. And this is what he called the union. He threatened me. And then he told my supervisor, he said, I'm gonna get him kicked out of the school, and because everybody wants him out of here. Like I told my supervisor, I said, well, who's everybody? What did I do now? What did I do to everybody? You see? So that's what I'm going through, man. It's just getting bad.
Been bad, for sure. I would document all of that, especially anybody saying that they want to get you out of here or nobody wants you here. Document all of that. Exactly what he said. Date, time. I think that is super important. That's the sort of thing I would not go other than what you did, asking questions. That's exactly what I said. That's where I would not be making statements. I would be documenting what it said and then trying to ask questions that, who said this? When did they say this? Why did they say that? Like, just asking questions so you can ascertain as much detail as possible so you have that in your notes. And like I said, with the safety, I mean, that is appalling. Just the total lack of regard for these children and the other staff who have to operate the. I thought he'd even said that sometimes teachers have to get on the buses. And then you see the pattern. He said the same white people that are ignoring these regulations and mistreating him, nobody wants you here and all that, stuffing all these children on. I've never driven a school bus. I don't have, all the licensing and training that you need to do all that. That's really serious too. But man, I do know. I've seen Coachella bus that they got stolen in California. They got all kinds of regulations about those school buses, and that is a big one. You're not supposed to have all those children out in the aisle. Something, wild happens, God forbid, and you got an emergency go off the back of the bus. Man, you can't even do that if you got everybody all sitting up stuffed in the aisles, much less if there's an accident. It's a lot less protection if you're out in the middle of the aisle, not sitting down. You could get knocked over, knocked into somebody, fall on someone. A lot less protection, a lot less safe. So I was going to say take a picture, but that's another one. It would be on the camera. And that's another. White people are not ignorant about the lack of concern, lack of following rules and regulations. They can sit there and watch the video. Just like they know you didn't steal the weed whacker, they know, wow, they are not supposed to have these children, as he said, stuffed in here like they're on some kind of slave ship or a can of sardines. That ain't the way it's supposed to be. But, yeah. And they probably say, hey, we got that old Negro male bus driver. We'll just blame it on him. We'll say he loaded them in and he didn't care. He didn't read the safety regulations, so we'll blame it on him. Like, man. All to be expected. I can't say document everything so that you have a record of these patterns of ignoring the safety protocols and jeopardizing the safety of the children that you drive and your safety as well.
Yes, thanks. I really appreciate it because, it kind of stressed me out a little bit, I've been going through a lot of stress lately behind this whole stuff because now you said a very important thing on the show about time and energy. And what a lot of people don't realize is that with the time and the energy, it takes time and energy to have to fight these people with the pen, to write up complaints, to write up reports to take away. Because last week I took off Monday to write up both the complaint about him and I wrote to the union. So it took me like a good 5 or 6 hours, and I had to take off work because I was writing, way to 2, 3 in the morning, so that I document everything, So it takes away your time and energy, and it's frustrating.
Designed to take away from your time and energy and to frustrate you. Absolutely. Like, and I think you've talked about this before, like the frustration of all of this and feeling how it personally impacted you. And then sometimes they'll call you while you're at home at the beginning of your day and what have you, like, hey, I'm not even working today, and they're calling about nonsense. Or, oh, we just want to apologize. We didn't mean to accuse you, and all that other old nonsense. Absolutely. Having to think about this stuff when you're not at work and writing documentation, all that stuff, it takes time and your mental labor. You could be doing other things. You could be asleep, making some healthy food. He's in California. I could be going to the beach, going to anything, something constructive, replacing white supremacy with justice, and got to be in here doing this old nonsense. And they get many, they exploit many non-white people in that exact manner in terms of time and energy on the job and even away from the job, and having us filing and notes and all the rest of it. So that is a massive part of the design. Hopefully, we do have, it's supposed to be a so-called Memorial Day weekend, so hopefully you can extract a little bit of replenishing and kind of getting it back together over the so-called holiday weekend. But yeah, I know you had talked about that before, and sometimes just having to take a day off to kind of rest and refocus and kind of regather yourself. So yeah, I totally believe you. That is all by design in terms of the draining impact of all of these false allegations and everything else. And that is just a part of the system that we just have to deal with as best we can until we solve this problem. But that is very common, kind of an underrated. I think they have reports on it called racial battle fatigue, where they can just wear you down physically, emotionally, mentally, with the same lies and trifling conduct day after day.
Yeah, thanks, Gus, and I really, really appreciate it. And then I got a coworker. He does everything opposite. You know, he sleeps on the bus. He drives fast. He don't pick up the kids. One time, last time I went on a field trip with him, he locked up the bus and took off, went somewhere to shop. The kid left his inhaler in the bus, and the kid had asthma. Kid damn near almost died. I had to open the emergency door and jump on the bus to reach the kid's inhaler, or else the kid would have died. And that guy didn't even get a write-up. And they're messing with me that does everything right every day.
That's the system, black brother. That is the system. And I would even add again, white people do not care about children. He said he left the little sick white brother, left him to go do some shopping, or who knows, something non-constructive, I bet. But inhaler, schminhaler, we don't care nothing about that. And he didn't get no commendation either. Like, he even threw in, hey, I had to break into the bus, darn near, be Superman. Under any other circumstances, they would have called the police on him. He's mugging and trying to steal our bus, too. But he had to climb into the bus, retrieve the inhaler, save this little person's life. Again, same thing I said before, doing God's work. He didn't get no, hey, attaboy, hey. They give you one of those old tacky plaques, you know, or a Starbucks gift card or something, you know, bottle of sunscreen. It's hot, you know, we had it in the summertime in California. Nothing. They come in, hey, man, you stole our weed whacker? Look here, we're going to need to check your trunk. Like, I saved the child. Yeah, we heard about that. That's right. We're going to need to check your trunk. Our weed whacker is, you going to celebrate and take our weed whacker just because you saved the child? It does not get any better than tacky. And I can't emphasize it. White people do not care about you. You see it in so many ways. That's why I say it, because it's not just the white, because I'm assuming that was a white driver. If they can sleep on the bus and act a fool like that, endanger a white child, I can't imagine if you had done all that, you would still be employed. The white bus drivers, they don't care about the children. That's why they don't say anything about all these rule violations. And then the staff, the more powerful white people, they don't care either. When you go to let them, like, hey man, the brakes on the bus aren't working correctly. We'll get to that next year. We'll get to that. Well, it's all right, Leroy. We get to that next year. We got it. The brakes, yeah, next year. Okay. That's white culture, I would humbly submit as well. But, man, that much obliged, tumbling dice. I would document all that as well, to be truthful, in terms of because I mean, he could have died, the little student. Like, I would document all of that, and particularly if they have regulations, like if that's policy and procedure, if you all go on a field trip or whatever it is, and I've never driven a bus, so I don't know, not a school bus, whatever. But if that's the policy, you all go on a field trip or whatever, I drove the bus, I'm supposed to sit here. You do not go off to paint the town red, as they say, or I'm going to go check out all the local brothels while y'all at your event. That is not what it is. You sit your hind parts right there in case we need to get back on the bus or leave early or whatever. If that's the policy and he didn't get, we're going to write him up and treat him the same way that we would treat you when we think you stole a piece of property or whatever the case may be. Come on. I know it should not be that we got to have the other bus driver break into the bus so that he can get a student's medical necessities. Like, I know that cannot be how the policy is supposed to be. At minimum, I'm going to run and get something to eat, give the keys to the bus, I'll be right back once I get my snack. Like, maybe that way we can still get to the bus pretty easily or access it. But I mean, what? You're going to leave and go do God knows what, and come on. What does it mean to be white? They for sure do not care about children, and I would document those discrepancies in treatment, how he was treated, disciplined, because there probably was none, for all of that, versus how you are disciplined for just, I was told to put my name up. They got the construction site. I put my name up and I go get reprimanded for that. I was told construction is coming and they're messing up the parking site. I go and purchase my own construction cone so I can have a place to park. They told me I've stole the construction site cone. Like, what? I can't win. I would document all of that. Sir. Any hoodles. I didn't see any other hands, any other folks. If they had commentary, *61 shouldn't be waiting till the last minute. Much obliged, tumbling dice, even though that is kind of sad that those are the circumstances. And it's especially sad because, like, dang, like, he should have. Isn't that a commendation? Like, if you're at the pool or whatever, it's summertime coming up, right? If you're at the pool, and one of the little people, or it can even be a grown person, if they, have an incident and you have to get them out and almost drown or whatever, so they put you in the newspaper, picture, dinner to Red Lobster for you and your wife or whatever it is, or your husband or whatever it is. You done broke into the school. I got to climb in, and that's like Superman. Going, where's the inhaler? Oh, I got it. Here you go. Sprinting, it's hot in Florida. He's sprinting and about to have a heart attack and he do all that. And, well, thank you. Make sure you don't steal nothing on the way back to school. Like, what? That's your blackmail privilege. They were really even, that's your appreciation. You done saved the child's life. Even the child's parents know that we didn't make you a fresh batch of chocolate chip cookies. We just, you saved Junior's life, and I mean, oh my goodness, we've told him to keep that inhaler in his pocket and left it on the bus, and at no count, old scoundrel driver went off, and oh man, you saved the day, and we just cry when we think what would have happened if you hadn't worked that day. Oh, thank you, Lord. We didn't even get that. He didn't even get no batch of chocolate chip cookies. Blackmail privilege, man. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Gus, I just have a few updates I'd like to share about things that's going on at the courthouse. It's kind of interesting because I've been at the warehouse location where the archives are. That's in the records department. And it was one thing that I noticed that when I go outside and try and just get some fresh air and everything, it was just kind of random where, because it's like a tree and it's some shade and everything. And I just noticed that it was some dollar bills laying on the ground that was down there. Like, I'm like, why is there some random dollars just on the ground like this? Like, I don't know if it's someone just laid that there or what, but I had took pictures of it. And it was just sitting there for days, and something just told me not to try to get the money or anything like that. But it was that I noticed since I've been around there. And there's also a lot of the things with records where I don't know if they're trying to like discard some of the records or scan them or anything, because they're building a new courthouse for the next 2 years. But that's been something too, where they're trying to do something with some of the old archive records. So I'll be learning more about that in the future. And the white guy has, it looks like, I guess some people are saying, some victims are saying that they think that he was terminated. But it looks like it's that what Mr. Fuller mentions about white people get transferred, or they don't get fired, they get transferred. So I think he must know someone up in the courts or something like that. And, I wasn't surprised by it, but I just think it just got something to do with, like, the behavior. And he's walking around and, being a white person and talking to his baby mama, I guess I'll call it that, that's in the same area, got 2 offspring with this white woman. So this person was only in that job for like 3 years, and now all of a sudden he secured another job and is going, I guess, upstairs to one of the top floors or something like that. But it sounded like it's connected with another white person that the person knows. So this person was in that department for a while, and he just got that job. White woman left. She's going to another county. But like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, you have some white people that are retired, so-called, and then they'll come back and then work more years. Like one white woman worked 36 years, and now I think she's at around 40 years. And like at 60, 61 years old or something like that. So I wanted to share that, but I think it's because, like how I describe them, like unprofessional and don't know how to talk to people, because another white woman, a victim, shared with me, has been getting in arguments with this guy about, I guess, how he talks to her or whatever, being condescending and everything. So I guess they've been kind of having it out. So they posted the position online and only gave it 1 day for people who have any kind of interest in the position. So I'm like, man, it's like, for instance, today is the 21st. So like on Tuesday, it was like the 19th. And they say, well, hey, you know, anybody internally have any interest, just send a letter showing that, you know, why you want to be a supervisor, yada, yada. And you have until the 20th, which was Wednesday. So a white person sent that email out to all of the employees. So I guess they already have somebody in mind that they want to give that position to. But yeah, I guess, you know, the white guy was walking around, not really doing the job, not being responsible, and I guess might have caused some issues in the courts or something, because it looks like his job is being posted and he's going to be going somewhere else, I guess, but he's still benefiting and helping to practice racism. And I have just one last one. There are two pregnant females. One is a white woman, and the other is non-white with a white parent. Okay, and now the non-white female that's pregnant, I think she's going on maternity leave, what they call it. So I think this white chick, right, is thinking of some kind of way of making it look like, oh well, hey, you know, why she get to get all this so-called PTO off. And I even seen her get in the argument with black female, like, why y'all coming at me, and making it look like she a victim and things like that. And this chick, by the way, has like 3 daughters from black males. So that's another cowbell right there. And but I just think, see, the way that she's practicing the racism, she still is with a lot of those white female clique members that come from that one white woman. She's gone now, but a lot of the remnants, the other white female remnants are there that knows that other white woman from them years ago. So I think she's going to try and make it seem like she's some kind of victim because she's pregnant and she's going to be leaving soon, and maybe trying to make it look like they're treating the non-white female some kind of way because she hadn't been coming back in. So that's going to be something that I want to be paying attention to myself, just seeing how that plays out. And she actually got into it with a non-white female who was talking about racism, but I think it's because of the language thing, the Spanish language, and something was said about some non-white people coming in and don't speak the English language. And I think she got into it with this white woman that's pregnant. So just wanted to share some more of those updates of some of the issues going on at the courthouse. And that's all I have for now. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse. Was it my sick white brother who is unprofessional and doesn't know how to talk to people? Is he the one that we think, like, they posted his position like he was having that much trouble, or he just got into the argument with the white woman?
That is the white guy that had his position posted. But I think they have been trying to make it look like something else is the reason why that he's not going to no longer be in that position, because it was a white woman that used to be the supervisor. So I think they already had it set for him, being another white person, of course, have it set for him to take her place when she went into her retirement, 2023. I'm just saying 2023. So it's been about 3 years. So that is that white man that is no longer in that position. So they posted, the white HR woman posted his position and only gave the employees one day of whoever wanted to have interest in trying to seek out the position.
Fascinating. I guess I can't even feel bad for my sick white brother because he did get a chance. Like, if my memory serves, he wasn't even qualified to be in this position to begin with. Like, what did we expect? And I think he even had a history of applying for promotions and jobs where he was not qualified. So lots of white people are to blame for like all of this. So he, and then the I don't know if you call that tackiness or the racism behind it. Once they find out, and it might have been the squabble that he had with that white woman. I don't know. He said that they got into a tiff, and then suddenly the job is posted and all that. Like, hey, you do not mess around with no white women in the workplace. It easily could have been. Now look here, you can be all surly and incompetent talking to everybody else. You are not going to talk to me all crazy. I'm going to do something about this right now. And that was that. But and white people don't get fired. They get transferred. Even with all that, he didn't say they were throwing him out, in the streets of Florida, and he had to go pick grapefruits to, see if he can make it. He just got another job. Come on. Nobody put in a bad word for him. And, hey, this dude is incompetent and he fusses with people. He's unprofessional. Nope. Let him ride off into the sunset. Let's see. He said he was working in the archives warehouse, and he saw they had money laying around, and he took a picture of it, and it just stayed there. He said he didn't know what was up with that. That for sure. I think anybody in a workplace environment, white, because he's told us before that they have white people there that do experiments and, that sort of thing. I think we've heard from some other callers the same type of thing where they work with people who kind of set people up to get them in trouble. Who knows? They might have video there, anything. Come back up. We saw you stole the $5 from the records. We got you on tape. We got to call the police and all the rest of it. So take a picture. That's the best course of action. Do not touch. The discarded records kind of just, white people start talking about destruction of records just gives me pause. Like, what are they? Are these like plantation records? Are these records of how you terrorize black people? Like, let's slow down before we start destroying records. Maybe we can scan these and then destroy them. It'll take up less space. The white people don't get fired. There were several illustrations throughout, and just even the sick white brother, he didn't get fired. He's still, unless I didn't hear it correctly, he's still at the courthouse now until they transition. I think he said he got his new position, a new job or whatever he's going, but he's still there now. White people do not get fired. They get transferred. He said the white fella who's there, whose baby mama is there, and he now is moving up to the top floor. Might be another one, is not qualified for this position, like the fella who works there and is unprofessional and doesn't know how to talk to people. But I guess maybe he's a little bit better because he got the job and he moved on up to the top floor. Maybe, and it might even just be some more of that old cronyism that they have there, that maybe he's homies or relatives with the right white people in HR or whatever it is. So, hey, I put my signature down in an application and, I'm good to go. I don't even have to complete the whole application, in fact. Maybe. I did think, though, now that he's on the top floor, he might be another one of them white people. Now, don't you get on the same elevator with me, boy. Like, I'm going to the top floor. I don't ride with no darkies. Like, you ride with the rest of them. Me and the judge, we just ride up together. Maybe.
That's the same person, Gus.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Can I add something real quick?
Yes, sir.
So this guy is like walking around with hands in his pocket. Another white woman is saying that she doesn't like the way she speaks to, the way he speaks to her. And he has 2 children, 2 daughters, with a white woman that's in the traffic area. And they've even done email posts where they've done baby showers and stuff for them and things like that. So definitely he's been showing the whiteness and benefiting from the racism and the white nepotism, because he knows someone that I guess he goes to church with up there or something like that, another white guy. So definitely that's on point right there. That's the same guy.
Amazing. The cronyism is amazing. Get any job, qualifications be damned. You don't even have to put your name on the application. We'll fill it out later, maybe. Just come on through. Come on there. That's that real talk. That's why he said they posted his job, the old job that I guess he's letting go, for like a day or whatever, 48 hours, something really quick, because up there 5 minutes. If you got a whole system of cronyism, which it seems the courthouse may be, you don't really do all that nonsense that they talk, meritocracy and, we want the best candidate for the job and best qualified. No, you don't. That's not true at all. If you got a whole bunch of cronyism and you already got the white people that you want for the jobs, like Bass Pro, where they said we don't want no black people, even if we live in a majority black area, then yeah, in fact, we might not post this opening at all, which is what they do in a lot of cases. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to give this one to my grandson. We not even, don't even worry about it. We got it. Or we'll post it for 5 minutes. And that way we can legally say we did publicize it. We gave folks an opportunity to sign up and let people know. And, it just happened. And, my grandson was the only applicant. Come on. That sort of nonsense. He said, we'll give you 1 day. Now, for anybody, like if it might take me a day if you have an application, even if it's in-house. We want a resume. I might have to update my resume. I got to get off work and go. Can I do all that on my lunch? Hey, we just posting it 1 day now. Should have had your resume together. Well, wait, I need to change a sentence or two for this. Hey, you got 1 day. Gonna give it to my grandson anyway. Come on. Or whoever this fella is, everybody loves him, so he can get every job in the building that he wants to. And his baby mama, like, come on. No experience. You compare that with, he said he hadn't been there that long. I think he said like 3 years, something not too long. I don't think he said over 5 years. He can correct me. He said the black female been there 20 years. She can't get a promotion. I didn't hear him say, she was incompetent. People complained about her being unprofessional and rude, surly when they come and ask her questions. Never. I guess that could be, but I don't ever remember him sharing any of that with us. Just she been there 19, competent, 20, been there 20 years, competent, can't get no promotion. Got his baby mama there. And I'm hanging out. And insulting people and getting upset and I don't like the way you talk to me. Whatever. That's another one I say now. Imagine if that had been Leroy. Our caller here who that's one right there. Man, around here asking questions and he don't want to participate in the lunchtime buffets and things that we do. Imagine if that had been him. I go around every day and talk rude, nasty to people all the time. Tell them shut up and all the rest of it. Come on. Same thing I say really for any black person. His mom, she used to work there. Young lady who's been working there for 20 years. Any of them. They got a reputation for being nasty, surly, rude, all day long. You can't ask them nothing. You got to tiptoe by their office. She'll chew your head off. You say 2 words. Like, what? Come on, man. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse. Fascinating as usual. The cronyism in full effect for spring 2026. I will see. I don't see we missed anyone. I didn't see that we missed. I forgot the pregnancy one. Man, white chicks, even though she is, some would say, violating the racist code, doing all the mud sharking, sexually sewering black males. But be that as it may, she is still classified as white. For her to sit up and grouse and complain, oh man, why be letting all these dark ladies go get all this time, and we just giving away PTO for free, ain't we? Why, I'm a white woman, I'm pregnant too. That right there. Act of racism. They can't just be, hey, they're doing whatever they're doing. I am sure if that white woman filled out her paperwork or whatever it was, I am sure she could get out of there and do her paternity leave, and we wouldn't have to look at her. Oh, no. I got to make sure I mess it up for these. Maybe I can get them in trouble. Maybe I mess it up for them and bring them. I don't want to see no black females at home nursing no Negro children. I don't want to see that. I even got a Negro myself, and I don't want to hear about that. You get back in this office. That right there. Racist woman. You cannot have a system of white supremacy without racist woman. And even it sounded like attention. How you gonna let these old dark, lady, I'm white and I'm pregnant. We're struggling to even produce children. You gonna let them just go hang out and sit at home and chill and relax? Y'all supposed to pamper me. I'm a white woman. I'm pregnant. White team, get it together, man. You gonna look out for them old heifer dark women? End stage white supremacy there as well. That's why I don't know if I would have to write, but I definitely want to see if I could take some pictures of all of that, because I mean, wow, none of that sounds ignorant about racism to me. I could be in error. Let's see. Make sure we didn't miss anyone. Folks have a thought or suggestion to share before we wrap things up. We'll assume folks satisfied, good for the week. Grand. We will be here Friday. Michelle Alexander, Cowbell. The new Jim Crow, session 6. We are not quite at the Chicago part yet, but still. Looking forward, man. Lion, Michelle Alexander. Wow, not a whole lot else to say at this moment. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, Friday evening. That said, Creator, we ask that you remind us sobriety would be best, especially for so-called holiday weekends, because, woo, there will be lots of folks out tearing up and acting a fool. Probably starting today. I was thinking like this week, man, probably starting today. Folks are going to be outside tearing up from now, probably through Monday. Like, you do not want to be in that number. You might not even want to be out, like, walking on the street. They drive up on the sidewalk, your porch, backyard. Sobriety would be best. Creator, we ask that you remind us, stop saying not all white people are racist. Remind us. Stop name calling people classified as black for Quusaa, Margarsa. Definitely safety in the workplace. 25 years old. Margarsa, got it correctly, Margarsa. Condolences to his family right here in Lake City Way, Seattle. I could throw up. I have walked by the place where Mr. Margarsa was killed, as I said hundreds of times. For Mr. Margarsa, those darn bars, sobriety would be best. He could have replaced white supremacy with justice, and now he's gone for no reason, killed at work. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.